Hey, what's up, beginning investors? It's me, your host, Luke, and I'm here to talk to you today about something called an initial public offering or IPO. Okay. So you've probably watched some finance channels and you've heard about stocks that are having their IPO, or you might have heard that that some years, previous years, that IPOs are down and they're low and companies are not going public. So an initial public offering is when a company goes from being private to becoming public and they're offering their shares to more people in the public. When you're a private company and you're pre-IPO, you're only offering shares to private investors. And there's a lot of good in this, and there's really no bad in going public, but there are some things that you want to be careful on when you are going public. So let me give you a technical definition of what an IPO is before I dive a little bit into the advantages and some of the disadvantages of going public. So the IPO is the process of offering shares of a private corporation to the public in a new stock issuance for the first time. So I want to give you a recent example of a company that is about to IPO, and it's a company called Chime. You're probably familiar with Chime. You've probably seen all the commercials of Chime. I even am familiar with Chime, and I don't really use a lot of financial technical software. Chime would fall under that category of fintech, which is financial technology software. They're currently a private company, and they feel like they are mature enough now to get onto the public market. There are requirements for companies to IPO. Not every company can offer themselves publicly. There are standards, there are requirements. I'll post some of these down in the comments or down in the description. But that's pretty much what an IPO is. You're taking your company from a private setting where only certain investors can invest to a public setting to where anyone with a stock account can buy and sell your stock. Now, I talk about the advantages. The advantages are you can have more liquidation in your company. You have more investors in your company. The disadvantages is the scrutiny. Hands down is the scrutiny because now you're subject to all the SEC rules. Not that when you're private, you don't have to follow any rules, but when you're public, those rules are scrutinized because you are dealing now with the public. It's about consumer protection at this point. So they have certain rules. When you go public, some people can't buy pre-IPO because there's certain rules around investing because they want to prevent people from losing too much money when they don't understand what they're doing. So the IPOs can be very fun, very exciting. I think it was 2021 or 2022 when we had a lot of IPOs. And some of them made it and some of them didn't. But we also had, I can't remember the year, so don't hold me to that. But we also had a lot of what is called a SPAC, special acquisition companies that went through the process for some of these companies that were going to IPO. So let me give you a quick explanation of how these special acquisition companies work. So what happens is the special acquisition companies, they come on the market, they go through an IPO, but it's not really announced. It's not really a big thing because nobody knows what company they're going to acquire. So they have, I think the last time I looked, they have 2 years to actually acquire a company to bring into, to bring public to the market. Now, why is this good for a company? If a company wants to IPO and they do not want to have to go through the traditional IPO process, if you go through via SPAC, through a special acquisitions company, then you can merge with that company and you will already be public by that company already being public, if that makes sense. So the special acquisition company goes through the IPO process. It's not a big deal. They get on the market and then they find a company to merge with, therefore making that company public on the market. And then eventually that company is public. And then this SPAC kind of goes away a little bit. I think they're allowed to continue to do that, but I'm not 100% sure, but maybe not. So it's a really quick way. And there was a time where we had a lot of those happening and a lot of them fell flat on their face. One thing to know about an IPO or SPAC or anything is when you read the prospectus, you'll find that a lot of these have a 30, 60, 90-day window where you as a pre-IPO investor are not allowed to sell. Now, here's where the tricky part gets in with some people. Some people think that you buy, once the stock goes public, that is pre-IPO. That is not pre-IPO. At that point, once that ticker hits, sometimes 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, once that ticker goes live, it is no longer pre-IPO. So you are not held by the same standard of that 90-day rule where you can't sell your stock. Now, that's another thing that you have to be careful on with these, because after that 90 days or whatever the case may be, after those days, then this company those shareholders can sell those stocks, which can cause the stock to go down. And a lot of people have been hit hard by those, especially in the SPACs. I was involved in a SPAC through a company that I thought was a really good company. Actually, they had like about $800 million in revenue. If you know who I'm talking about, you'll know who I'm talking about. I don't want to mention them, but they had $800 million in revenue. I've consumed their products before. They have really good products, but for some reason, and I was up very much on this SPAC, and sure enough, I was beginning at that time, and I lost all of it. It was probably about $1,200, but it was still a loss. There was another one that I did for a medical software company that I thought was genius. It was a SPAC. It had IPO'd. I bought it after IPO. I didn't buy pre-IPO. And once again, I actually sold and made good money on this stock, but its stock is probably 10 cents now if it's still even on the market. So there are some things that you have to be careful about. But the pre-IPO, IPO, SPAC process is a really exciting process if you ever get a chance to watch it and understand it. Sometimes stocks will IPO and they'll shoot through the moon. Before the ticker even starts, you'll see a stock go from $40 to $125 before you even get a chance to touch it, right? So by the time you touch it, it's already hot. You don't want it. It's hot, right? So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what the IPO is. And, if you want to get involved in the IPO or pre-IPOs, go to your broker and find out where their issue center is, where they issue and show you new IPOs that are available, because then there you can find out if you're able to participate in the pre-IPO. Pre-IPO is not for the weak. I can tell you that right now. Unless you're a long-term investor and you believe in a company, if you've looked at the prospectus, if you've looked at their finances prior to going IPO, going public, that's the only time I would actually advise you to go pre-IPO. Otherwise, if you see a company about the IPO, I would say maybe wait a few months before you actually get involved, because it's really hard. They can be very volatile. They're very volatile when they come public. That's the word I was looking for. They're very volatile when they become public. All right. Well, hey, thanks for watching this, Beginner Investors. I hope that you tune in to my next video. Thank you.